Okay, shall we start? Welcome everyone. So my name is Alvaro Moya. I'm here for the talk from developer to manager, the recipe for a successful transition. Who else is a manager here? Good. Who else is thinking about being a manager soon? No one. Good. Then we can close. Okay, so no, make it easy. First of all, again, I'm Alvaro Moya. I will not spend a lot of time describing myself because you can find all my life on LinkedIn, where I'm linking it to boys. And if you need anything about the content, you just need to look for that hashtag, follow the leader. Okay? Easy. It's a Latin sound. So no better hashtag for our company. I normally describe my journey as from zero to unicorn. I started as a co-founder like 10 years ago, and I have been walking the path from just co-founding, being the CTO of just myself, fixing the printers, designing the logo, making everything related to a computer, to basically leading very, very big distributed teams across the world. And during that time, I was not only trying to managing teams because I didn't have any training, so I was doing what I could, like learning by doing, but I was also like mentor, professor, investor, and speaker. So I was kind of wearing the different hats of the ecosystem, so I could understand what the other areas were expecting from me, like a CEO or an investor. So I have been working with several different companies. And I would say that the only reason I was spending not only my time, obviously as a CTO, it was not 40 hours a week, but even more for all the other roles. I think the only reason is because I love what I do, and that's why we are here on a Saturday afternoon, right? So I think we are all the same. Easy outcome of this talk. I will help you navigate this transition. I know that most of you are already there, but even if you have been already managing teams, I hope you can get some tips to make it better from now or to help others in your team or in your future organizations adopt this role better, being more successful from the beginning, and make more impact from the very first day. And I will highlight just 4 key aspects to do that, okay? There are a lot more. I think those 4 will really help. And in order to do that, I want you to meet Laura. Laura is a backend developer, 6 years of experience working with Python, obviously. And one day, she's at the office, and her manager, David, is telling her like, hey, we need to talk later, maybe lunch. And you can imagine, like, tension, pressure, uncertainty is like, I'm gonna get fired with all these layoffs. I'm gonna be part of any new project. You don't know what to expect, right? And then in that conversation, her manager is telling her, look, I'm moving to a new project. We are growing the team. I'm going to be there like a senior engineering manager, and I want you to get my role. What do you think? Think about it and maybe let me know tomorrow. What is the normal answer to that question? No, it's yes. We normally say yes. It's like an opportunity. It's actually a need of the company, but they are communicating like a big opportunity because it's the way you can get more responsibility, maybe you can even increase your salary. And normally it's like, hey, how am I going to say no to this opportunity? My boss is telling that if I say no, maybe it's a problem in the future. So mostly everyone say yes. And you say yes without knowing what is happening. When you are accepting a new job, when you are on an interview, you expect to know something about the role, right? And normally, with leadership, with management positions, this is not happening. And this is what we are going to be talking about today. Here is the first lesson. If you are looking for that opportunity, the most probable thing is that it's going to happen in your organization. No organization I know of is looking for a manager that has not been manager before. They are looking for some experience. But in order to get experience, you need to have the job, right? So that's the real problem. If you think that this is the path after this talk, the first thing to think about is this the right organization to do that? Is it big? Is it growing? They have a lot of management roles, so I don't need just my manager to move out in order to get the job. If it's not, maybe you should look for another organization where you can state clearly from the interview, hey, look, my ambition is to get to a leadership position, right? So it could be faster. This is one problem that is happening normally for people in management, right? It's called the Peter Principle. And it says that you only grow in an organization up to the level of your incompetence. So you are a very good developer. Your manager, like in this case, David, think, hey, look, Laura is a very good developer, is the best of the team. Let's promote her and not anyone else because he's the best of the team, or it's the person that has been longer in the team. And then maybe you succeed. And then, okay, you are still achieving expectations, and then you are promoted again until you get a point where you are failing. In all these steps, not all the time you have the proper training, not all the time it's a suitable role for you. Being a good developer doesn't mean that you are going to be a good manager. You know, there is this kind of quote, what brought you here will not bring you there, right? So this is what is happening. And I will put you some data and facts. So you see that you are not alone if you are thinking, hey, this happened to me, or it happened to others around you. More than half of the managers didn't know what was expected for them. Imagine that you are reaching your first developer job and you don't know what it's all about. You don't know if it's about working with an IDE, or it's about working even with a computer. This is happening with managers. You say yes, the next day you start maybe doing something related to management, but you don't know what the role is about, okay? And this is not the biggest problem. Another one is that more than 60%, 3 out of 5, are not receiving any proper training to do that. So again, imagine that you are reaching a developer job and you don't know how to develop. Which is going to be your performance in the team? The problem here is that when you are a manager, you go from just adding your value to multiplying your impact, because your level means the level of your team. So if you have a team of 10 people, if you are not good enough and you don't make them grow, you are making 10 people not as effective as they should be. So, related to the other example, the problem is not that you as a developer don't know how to develop and then your manager has literally one person that is useless. If you don't know how to manage, you have literally 10 people that are useless plus you. So 11 salaries that are wasted. That's the real impact of not training properly the managers. That's the real impact of not providing the clarity for them to the role. And then the last number to prove that. 50% of the employees think that if the manager was properly training, their own performance would increase. So they think that they are not the best version of themselves just because the manager is not the best version of himself or herself. That's the reality now. So we are not talking about the 2000s, we are talking about today, 2023. So today we are going to go through these 4 topics, for insights, so I hope everyone here can become a better leader in the future. The first one is understanding the role. Is having that clarity that you know what is expected from you, you know which are the main functions you need to develop, and you know how to use your time to leverage on the most important tasks every single day. Okay? So when we talk about the role, I like to define it easily like, okay, engineering manager is about engineering, it's about software, and the manager, maybe better, is about leading, not just managing people, it's about leading them. So when you say you are a leader of a tech team, when you talk about leadership, you are talking about managing people. When you talk about technology, is that those people are going to be performing technical functions. Okay, software engineering in this case. So your goal, when that's the small, brief definition of your role as an engineering manager, is to get the most performance out of your team. That's your own and single function, right? It's your tool. Your tool is the people. You need to make them shine every single day. It's a resource, right? Making it a bit more human, making it a bit more aligned with business, you need to make sure that all the work they are performing is aligned with the business goals. So you are going to be translating. You need to understand which are the business goals, which are the customer needs, and you need to put all your team to work on those objectives, so you can deliver on the expectations of the company, stakeholders, and the customers. You need to keep them motivated. Only if they are motivated, they are going to be willing to bring the best version of themselves because they want, not because you pay them. That's one of the other key topics. And finally, if you want that to happen, you need to facilitate an environment. That's part of the manager role. It's creating and fostering that environment where maybe they can thrive, where they are collaborating effectively, you have this kind of information silos, and they are creating this sense of camaraderie, where they work close to each other, they help each other, and you don't need to be there supporting everyone like in a kindergarten or in a school, okay? Some of the key concepts related to people, related to technology, related to processes that you need to implement in the team, related to how you can make them grow from a perspective of a teacher, sometimes like a coach, sometimes more like a mentor, sharing your experiences. But at the end, in order to see it in a quick view, I like to define it like that. So it's a pyramid. This is the 100% of your time. When you are an engineering manager, I would say at least 50% is about people. It's about dealing with people, facilitating the people to work better. Then 30% about product, and only 20% about development. And when I say development, it's not that you need to be coding. I would say that you are making your developers better, like having this kind of pair programming techniques, like reviewing their code so you can explain where they can be better, facilitating these kind of techniques so they can do it with each other, so you don't need to be there all the time. When you go down to product, I like this concept of the product engineer. So you are not just building software, the technology is not the end. The technology is just a means to an end. The end is to make money. It's a company, it's a business. And the way you make money is by putting a product in the hands of your customer. So if you help them understand why they are doing what they are doing, and not just focus on the how, if they are using microservices or not, if they are using this kind of design pattern or other, if they are using dry or solid or whatever. No, focus on the outcome. Focus on why you are creating or designing that button. What is going to change for the customer? Is it going to increase the conversion rate so you get more money for the company? Is it about making it faster? Maybe it's about optimizing the API so they don't get bored and they don't quit the app so you don't lose a customer. That's your mission as an engineering manager, right? And when I talk about leadership, I want to talk about the employee journey. So if you know about, for example, e-commerce, the customer journey is all the different touch points you have with the customer, from this person just reading about you in a blog post, then going to the store, then, I don't know, checking some of the articles, buying, receiving the product, and maybe finally even promoting it and referring to their friends. An employee is the same. From the very first call, when the HR is calling them for the screening call, the journey begins. Every single touch point, every single email, every single word you talk to them, every single message in Slack, every single job they perform, it's defining the journey, and you want that journey to be as satisfying as possible. As a manager, you need to think about that. When they are worried, when they have a problem in the family, when they are stuck with a certain technical challenge, all of that matters for them, for their own motivation, and you need to be there. You need to be creating that successful journey and make it a product. So the same journey is applied to everyone, is standardized, so you don't need to think about it every single time a person joins the team. Okay? A new agenda. You need to get used to a totally new agenda and make a smart use of your time during the week. And here, when we talk about a developer, you can find something like that. Like on a daily basis, you are mostly coding, and out of that is just the ceremonies of Scrum, for example, like daily or weekly ceremonies. But once the user stories and the tasks are totally defined, you can be part of that, but once they are totally defined, just about getting your headphones and delivering, right? So you don't have a lot of other things. Maybe quarterly or every 6 months, 1 or 2 times per year, you have the objectives of the period brought to you, delivered, and the performance review assessed by your manager, where you can participate, but it's just delivered. You are promoting, you are getting a bonus, you need to improve in a certain area, whatever. Mostly coding. When you get to the manager roles, that's going to change. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, maybe they are more. But the reality is that you are going to be a router of information between all the new stakeholders and your team in order to make them work on the objectives of the company. So you can expect to have much more meetings with, for example, product managers or project managers. You will be having one-on-ones directly with every single person of your team. Before, you just had your own one-on-one with your manager, right? So the difference could be from 1 to 10 hours per week or every single 2 weeks. So you are going to be documenting all those processes that makes that customer journey unforgettable for your employees. And documenting and standardizing and improving over time takes time. And now you are going to be defining the OKRs. You are going to be defining the objectives, not just being delivered. You need to define that. Based on the business objectives, you need to land into technical features, technical things that you are going to be working along with your team. And the same for the performance review. Person by person, defining areas of improvements, if they should receive a bonus or a promotion. Every single person. And that takes time. And as soon as someone leaves or the team has to grow, hiring and onboarding is going to take a lot of time of your agenda. So you need to plan for that. If you know you receive information you are going to be hiring, you need to be there as soon as possible, preparing for the interviews that you will have. You may have 1 seat available, you will need to interview maybe 10, 20, 30 people, which means 30 hours from your next 2 to 3 weeks that are wasted. You cannot do anything else, okay? So as you can see, a lot of new things, a lot of new communication channels, and this is going to be difficult. So if you want to make room for the new in your 40 hours time slot for the week, you need to let yourself go. Okay, you are not a developer anymore. You cannot block core initiatives from your team. If you want to code, it's okay. Do it in your weekend. Okay, because you are not going to get paid for coding. Even if you can do it better than your team, this is today. If they are delivering code 40 hours a week and you are just doing that for a couple of hours, sooner or later they will become better than you. If they are already better than you, much better. That means that your team is hiring good people, right? But you cannot keep doing that just because you are going to be ending faster. You just wait, sit down, mentor them, coach them, and make them grow so they can be at least 80% as good as you are, but not keep doing what you are doing before. It's like being in a football match and you are the player number 12. You are in the match, you are inside the football field. You can win the match because you have an advantage of one person, but no one is coordinating everything from the bench. You don't have no one coaching, you don't have no one motivating the team to achieve the goal and understanding the perspective of the match, right? That's the difference. Maybe having a player number 12 is going to solve some situations, but the thing is that if you are doing the job of the developer, who is doing your job? That's missing, okay? So, third topic, a proper onboarding. When you are arriving in a company, you have an onboarding. They tell you what the company is about, what the culture is about, which is your job, your function. They present you to all the people that is going to be relevant. They present you the team. You have some sessions about the culture, the vision. You have a meeting with the CEO. Normally, when you're a manager, that's not there. It's okay that the culture of the company, you already know it, but your function is so different, as you can see, that you deserve to have clarity about what is expected. You deserve to know maybe a certain goal for the first maybe 6 months, to understand what is expected from you, right? So at the end, some key ingredients for me that makes a proper onboarding successful for an engineering manager is first having a clear action plan for the first months. This is not you defining it. It's your manager defining what is expected from you, knowing that it's the first time for you in the role to have some kind of milestones that you can achieve in the first 3 months or 6 months, okay? It's about establishing the time, the actions that are needed to be taken, and it's also about how you are going to be measured against those goals and what will happen if you achieve it or not. For sure, training. I would say that someone has to train you. Maybe is your manager mentoring you like every once a week. Maybe it's about having a proper course. Maybe recommending a couple of books before you are starting. But the reality is that you need to be trained before you are starting, as much as possible. I would love that everyone has a trial mode. So it's not like from 0 to 100 in one day. Today you are a developer, tomorrow you are a fully fledged manager, because that's not real, basically. So if your manager can start delegating things little by little, today you are going to be doing like one-on-one with the team, maybe 2. You are going to be facilitating this session. You are going to be helping me designing the system for the new architecture. You are brought into some of the new key meetings. People start to knowing you. You feel comfortable with that people. You feel comfortable listening to your manager, and then later on maybe doing his or her job, but step by step. Otherwise, you are going to be feeling overwhelmed, and that's one of the, I would say, worst feeling when you are starting as a manager. Another thing I love to have is rollback. As much as in the code, if it didn't work, just go back. But normally it's like you feel ashamed first because you didn't reach to the, I don't know, satisfaction levels. But sometimes it's even the company that define that, okay, you are not good as a manager, and instead of just going back to the good developer you were, like Laura, maybe you are kicked out or you want to move out because the environment is not kind of safe enough anymore. Like you think that the people is going to see you like someone that has failed, and maybe the culture of the company is not about accepting failure. It's not about understanding that now you are a developer on steroids because you are now a developer again, but you have built empathy with your manager. Now you know how hard it is to be your manager. Now you have developed maybe some kind of communication skills, maybe some planning skills, maybe not good enough to be a manager, but maybe today you can help him, right? So you are a better developer today. Experience just pile up, just compound. It's not something that just is going up and down. So why is a problem for some of the failed managers to go back to the previous role? Another one I would say is interaction with other leaders. That's pretty relevant. So at the end, the experiences you are going to collect as a manager is what you are living. The first hire, the first onboarding, the first person you need to fire, which is very difficult, the first time you need to create the performance reviews, defining the goals, everything is a first time. When you are interacting with other leaders from your organization or from other organizations, like all of you that are here today, you are collecting a lot of other like second-hand experiences. Maybe it's not exactly what you would do, but you have a different perspective, and you can use that information to your favor, okay? And then sometimes this is missing, it's a pity, but the manager has to support the whole path. Has to be there. It's not just like, okay, here the keys of the car is yours. It has to be kind of a GPS, at least for some time, as I would say, like in the trial mode inside, like supporting, like having kind of regular one-on-ones, maybe more frequent than before, so you are together sharing your fears, sharing your concerns, sharing your challenges, maybe sharing even your failures, your first failures, so he or she can help with his experience. Can be your mentor, should be your mentor. It's not just disappearing, right? And if the person is just leaving the job and leaving the company, you need to find another person. And it's your duty to find that person and request it from the company. But not just accept that they are saying, hey, just do it. I learned this way. Yeah, okay. That were other times. That doesn't mean that is the good way to go, okay? Last one is how to ace the first days in the role. So you have those quick wins to build the confidence from the manager that you are doing a good job, okay? So 7 tips, very quick. First one is building trust with all the new people you are going to be interacting with every single day. These new stakeholders like the product manager, the project manager, but also your team, that if it was your current team, it's like changing the relationship. And this is normally difficult because you need to make them understand that you are not a colleague anymore. You can be democratic, you can use the leadership style you want, but at some point, if there is a deadlock, you decide because you are the manager. You assume the consequences of failing. And they need to know that. Okay? Leading by example for me is essential. This is the best way to build your kind of image as a leader. If you want them to be punctual at work, be there. If you want them to be early at home to enjoy the family, so they have a good work-life balance, be the first. Drop in the keyboard. What cannot be is that you try to encourage them to have this work-life balance and then you are sending emails 9 p.m. every single day, right? It's not the way, because they are going to understand that if the manager is doing that and it's our boss and it's the good one, I need to do it if I want to follow that path, for example, right? So you need to set that example in everything. If you want them to communicate effectively, be the first one. If you want them to be high-performing, be the first one that are a high-performing professional, right? Being punctual, being productive, being clear about your role, being clear about your goals, demonstrating just that consistency, that motivation. You need to be the example for them on everything you want them to have. As a skill, as a process, you need to be there first. All the time, first. Delegate as much as possible. First the code, for sure the code. You need to make room for the new, remember? But also, you can delegate some of the tasks that you do as a manager. One of the best things you can do from the first day is to create a successor for your role. So when you have the session like Laura, the person is prepared. It's not a surprise, like for her. And that means that you can bring them to design sessions. So they are not just software engineers. They are product engineers. They understand the architecture. They have a high-level vision. You can bring them to facilitate the Scrum sessions, and it's not you anymore. So they understand how to deliver key messages, how to communicate effectively to an audience, how to present to stakeholders in the demo day. You can delegate all of that, right? There is a lot of things that you do as a manager that you do them because you are the manager, but everyone can do it, right? And you are not going to be less manager because you are doing less functions, because there were plenty of them for you. And 40 hours sometimes is not enough. Be patient. because deploying a better version of the people that work with you is not the same as deploying a new version of the code, right? It's not A, then B, like in the code. It's a best practice, and you use this design pattern every time you have this kind of problem. Every single person with their own traits, their own personalities are different, so you don't have just a set of rules, okay? You have people, and you need to adapt your techniques depending on the person. Dealing with imposter syndrome, because it will appear. Avoiding the tornado effect. Now you are a manager, you see a lot of things that you can improve now because you have the power. Wait, okay? You have many things to learn before start improving your own environment, right? And finally, building that support network. Other leaders, your manager, leaders out of your organization, that's all important for you to be a better leader and be supported. So, in order to finish, as you have seen, becoming manager is not a promotion. It's an entirely career shift. So you need to be sure what is there before you say that yes. And then, if you are going to say yes or no, just this moment to decide. If you want to take the red pill, I will be on the other side to support that difficult journey to make it succeed. You can find me on the networks, you can find me on the email and in leader.co. Thank you very much.